Hi guys. Ooh, my computer just kind of moved. I am back and I am in my new beautiful place. I'm still in St. Pete, but I've moved from my previous location to be closer to the water. So I literally can like look over and the water's right there and there's boats going by and wow, it's just a huge blessing of being here and manifesting this place and really, just putting it to the universe that this is what I wanted. And I was able to receive that. So a lot has been happening the last few weeks. A lot of big developments with like moving and then kind of coming to this place of like surrender and really finding that I was being called to um partake in a really amazing experience of ayahuasca, plant medicine. And today I'm going to be going into that journey with you. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for me to speak about this, and I've kind of kept everyone waiting. But it's just been a lot to unpack and process. I've kind of talked about it a little bit on my social medias and stuff of like sharing tidbits of my experience. I had a wonderful experience. And today I'm going to talk about it and just kind of get more in depth of the entire journey leading up to it, how I found the specific ceremony that I went to, why I picked that specific ceremony today. And I'm going, I'm like stuttering over my words because I'm excited to talk about this. And um, I just need to like ground myself in this moment because it's a lot and it is a lot in a good way. Like I had a lot of awakenings, just this feeling of feeling so supported. And first off, I do want to just kind of say a little disclaimer that like I'm just sharing my experience and how things kind of unfolded for me. And this by no means like you need to go try this medicine or that please don't take it that way that like you need this for something. If you feel called to ayahuasca, that's genuinely like the first step. And that kind of happens naturally over time. I feel like I was called with it last year after I did my first like mushroom trip on my birthday. And that was a really transformational experience. I definitely learned a lot of lessons on that. And maybe I'll do a separate video on what that was like. But right after that, I was like, okay, I did this and I can do, ayahuasca. It sounds like a good plan. And from one of my business mentors, she shared her journey, and I just felt, okay, well, when the time is right, it'll happen. And so I left it at that. I didn't try to push it. I didn't, force it or anything like that. I just kind of let it go and didn't think about it again. And then after my most recent breakup with my last ex, even though it was like a beautiful breakup and we really honored the relationship and it was hard and it was challenging in a lot of ways, but it wasn't like a whole thing where I was like, okay, I need to go figure out why this happened. Like I knew why the breakup had to happen. I saw it unfold in front of me. I felt the shifts. I understood the bigger picture. Um, so for me, doing this ayahuasca retreat, it was more so just for me to get in touch with myself at a deeper level and really just experience it. And so I booked two retreats this month. This first one was my one in ayahuasca in Long Island. And there's a story about why I picked that. So we'll get into that next. And then my second retreat is coming up after next week. That'll be in Mount Shasta in California. And that's more with like rainbow healing, sound healing, kind of bridging the different worlds that I love all together with like sound vibration and frequency and also meditation and that kind of stuff. So that's a different retreat. That's, I think, a lot more in nature and outside. I don't believe there's any plant medicine or anything like that. It's just more like really getting in touch with nature and yourself. So I really, really am looking forward to that experience. Now, let's kind of backtrack to how I found this retreat. I'm involved in the group on Facebook, Ayahuasca USA. I don't know even how I came across it, but I joined this group because I was like, okay, let me see which kind of ceremonies are local. My friend had told me about a ceremony in Florida that she went to, and she honestly had a very traumatizing experience. And I really, really hate that for her because she's been looking for answers. She's been on her path, and to hear that like she didn't receive support, that there was like 50 people at this retreat, and just the experiences of what she had to face, it really kind of put a bad taste in my mouth about ayahuasca because I was like, oh man, that can get kind of dark. And so I guess that got me a little bit more clear on what I was expecting and what I wanted with my journey. So I knew immediately after hearing from her that it was, I wanted a smaller, tight-knit group. I wanted there to be at least 2 to 3 practitioners and people watching because I felt like you need more support with that. And I didn't feel comfortable doing a big like a big retreat with like 30 plus people or 20 people, even 10 people. Like that just seems like so much because everyone carries spirits and entities and stuff with them. So like walking yourself into a world where it's like you're dealing with other people and their shit, it was just like overwhelming for me. So I know I wanted something tight knit. I know that was kind of the case with that. So um I just put in the back of my mind, I let it go. And one day I was on Facebook and it came up that like there was a retreat coming up in Long Island. Now I have a special relationship with Long Island because that's where I was living when I was married. I moved from Atlanta to live in Long Island, and that's where I had a like this time capsule, this identity of being a housewife and living in a traditional joint family system, really going against everything that I am. I'm a very independent person. I don't really like people knowing what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and to put myself in a situation of living with a family and everyone tracking what you're doing, everyone knowing your business, and having that whole environment. I had a lot of stuff with that marriage that I've been working through all these years, but I was like, you know what? Let me do this where I do my ceremony in the same town. So it was like in a town a little bit further away from where I was living, maybe like 20 minutes, but still on the same part of the island. So I lived in Long Island. I was more towards like Elmont area, which was Queens and Long Island. And this is more, you know, deeper in the island area, more towards the beach. So I've had always heard of Huntington, but I never really went. So this was in Huntington, and immediately I asked, like how many people are going to be there? What are you expecting in terms of the number of people? What are you expecting in terms of like your facilitators? And I asked these questions, and this really lovely lady was responding. She was really, attentive and gave me some good answers that I felt good with. And then something in me was just like, do it, like just do it. And before I knew it, I was sending her the money on Zelle, and I was like booking my ticket, and that was it. I was like, okay, I'm doing ayahuasca. And this is after I've already done booked the first retreat in California. So this was like I felt like I needed to do this first. And so I had my call with her, and we like start talking immediately once I book my reservation with her for the retreat. I get sent all of this information, and I loved it. I loved how much support and guidance there was. I loved that things were really easily laid out on like what to expect, how I needed to prepare. And I've got my tickets maybe 2 weeks before. So I had 2 weeks to be vegetarian, eat very clean, starting to fast more. And you want to do these things to kind of just get your body prepared for what's going to happen. Because while you're in that retreat, you do have to, adhere to some rules. And that just made sense. I was like getting mentally prepared for it. And I was doing my daily meditations, my journaling, my tapping, all the stuff that I normally do, but like on a more strict schedule because I knew that this is what I had to do. So I'm doing all of that. I have my first consultation with her and just kind of she's asking me, what I kind of want to work on. And I told her about like, I was married and I'm kind of wanting to clear all that and let a lot of things go and just, get to a point where like I can move forward all the way with everything. I don't want to keep attracting people that don't value me and that kind of stuff. So, normal like self-worth things. So I just completely, told her where I was at with everything, that I'm in a good place. I, do my work with like taking care of myself, my mental health, and just emotionally really pouring into what I need on a daily basis. So we had a great conversation and then that was it. Kept doing my thing. And so now it's like time to go to the ceremony. And I just remember feeling very nervous and like, oh my God, what's going to come up? And, writing a lot in my journal of just like, whatever I'm supposed to see, I'm supposed to see, I'm being open to whatever. And I had a lot of anxious feelings on the way there. My whole experience, like on the plane, was fine. I kind of calmed my nerves and that kind of thing. But then once I like touched base in New York, that's when everything really started hitting me more. And I started feeling kind of nauseous on the way there, just like being in New York and it was cloudy and being in Long Island and driving through the streets, being on the train, that whole thing. I started feeling the feelings come up of just like, oh man, what am I doing? What is this? I know I'm supposed to be here, but it's a lot. And then I got on the wrong train. I ended up going all the way to Stony Brook and I had to take a Uber. And my Uber driver is this older Pakistani guy, and his car smelled like BO and just must. And it was like an older car. And I was like, man, all the smells were just taking me right back to, like being around in that life I was in. And it it was fine. Like I was working through all of that, doing the things I knew how to do, and just experiencing the emotions. I was letting me feel nauseous. I wasn't trying to fix it. I was just like, you know what? I have to feel this way. Let me move through it. Let me move through it the way I know how. And that's like deep breathing and doing different techniques like that. So once I got to her house, because she does host the retreat from her sanctuary, from her beautiful farmhouse home in Long Island, beautiful space. So I got there. I met with her. We immediately connected and we went out for dinner and kind of started sharing some things and just really connecting. So that was great. And that helped ease my nerves for sure, just to be like in a different space with her and see the cute little downtown. And she was giving me a lot of like good tips on what to expect. And so the first night was the next day. No, I came 2 days early. So that next day we were going to focus on getting some content and photos and videos. And we went to the beach and we did a little shoot there and we did some more stuff at home. So that was really great to kind of like ease into it. And it really did help me coming early just to like get settled and be there, be grounded in that moment. And then uh, Friday night comes, and Friday night's the first ceremony, and that's a combo ceremony, which I didn't know too much about, but that is where you get like, she does these little burns, which you can see here of 3 little dots. So you basically on the skin level burn your skin, and then she puts this frog poison type of thing. It's a special toad, and it's the extract from their secretions that goes into your bloodstream. And this powerful, venom essentially or poison goes into your bloodstream and clears out any blockages that you have in your body. And it's a really intense feeling. So, we go through the ceremony and a lot of times people purge and that kind of stuff, but we didn't. And then along with me on this journey, it's me and two men, two war veterans. One is around 50 years old, and the other one was older. I think he was maybe in his 60s. And so it's just the three of us. We don't have anyone else. And honestly, it was a perfect size group for what we needed. And we had a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of realizations. So it's really, really good to have all of that unfold in front of us. A lot of different things came out, but it was definitely what we all needed. um, so yeah, back to the first night. We do the combo ceremony. She does this dry compassion method, which I love because um, just now being in this world, I've learned so much about there being a wet method where they make you drink a lot of water and you can get into this mode where like your cells basically drown in your body. And that's how a lot of people get sick and potentially like die. So I love that she was educating us on all of this. She was really letting us know that like if we were to go to any other retreats, what to look out for, what to ask, all of that good stuff. So I really, really felt that she was educating us on a lot of amazing levels that could help us in the future and also help us when we, talk to other people and educate them on this process like I am now with you. So the combo goes into your bloodstream immediately. Maybe within a few minutes, I started feeling like this whooshing in my ears, and it was just very deep and pulsating. And then immediately my heart starts racing, like your heart just shoots up, your adrenaline is kicking, and you're just sitting there and you don't know what is happening within your body, and you just feel this energy shooting up and down your body. And for me, what I started doing was tapping. Like innately, I just started tapping my body harder and harder and harder. And just really like sinking into that feeling, like, and telling myself, I'm okay. You're just moving through this, doing some deep breathing while I was tapping. And I'm just sitting there and finally reach this point where I'm starting to feel good with it. And it's my heart rate is starting to come down and I'm starting to feel the blockages, which mine was in my solar plexus, like stomach area. I felt a real tightness there. And then I took some deep breaths through it and I let it go and really pushed through that. And then I felt it down in my root chakra area, just almost like intense period cramps where you're just really feeling like almost like a birthing type of cramp. And I was like, man, this is really, really tough, but I pushed through it and I took some deep breaths. I kept doing it. I kept doing my tapping. And then immediately you feel clear. You feel like the energy's moved through you. And now there's just like an opening. And so, why she likes to start with the combo is like it really clears out those blockages. And that way, the ayahuasca can move through your body. And it's just a really good start to the ceremony. And the whole session maybe takes an hour. So, once we started to like come down from that, like you feel right back to normal. I didn't feel any hallucinogenic effects on that. It was just more of a clearing. We also had to do some cord cutting with like energetic cords and like letting that kind of stuff go and like cut these energetic cords from all around us. So she taught us different practices to do with that. Because we do pull on energetic cords with people we know, we love, with other people that know us, and we have this going on. And so it's really important to clear those bonds, clear those cords, let it go in a really peaceful way. So that was a beautiful first night. And then now we get into the second day, and this is the ayahuasca night. Um, and like the whole daytime, we kind of do different things to kind of clear our energy and clear what we want to do that day. So initially we were all planning to go to the beach, and then I started feeling like I really want to be alone. And I asked her, I was like, I feel like I want to stay home and I want to journal and I want to do meditation. And so that was accepted. She was really receptive of that. She was really proud of me for even speaking up about it, which was beautiful. And so she could go to the beach. She needed to decompress because also from her point of view, she's taking in a lot of energy. Like three people are coming in. She's weighing all that out. So she has to get mentally ready for it. And I saw that. So I was like, you need to go to the beach and you need to take care of you. So she went with one of the guys, and one of the veterans went with her, and then one stayed back. And me and the one that stayed back just kind of did our own thing. We stayed separate. We did not talk. It was really like much needed to get that silent time. And so I went into the sanctuary space. I meditated. I started getting some visuals of stuff there. And they do say before, the ayahuasca gets into your system, that energetically you do start feeling the effects. And I definitely did, because I had this whole thing where my grandmother came through and was sharing bits and pieces. And I cried with that, because she showed me a hard life. She showed me that, she didn't really choose the life that she got. She had to marry young and had to have lots of children. She had to have 11 kids. And I'm not even sure the age that she passed away, but she showed me just like the struggle of it. And it felt hard. So I saw that initially. I got a lot of really good downloads during my meditation. It felt really good to sit with myself and have that time, and kind of like I could just mentally get ready for this ceremony. And then um once I got out of that, I believe I was like doing my own thing for probably about 2 to 3 hours. Once I got out of that, I stayed in my room. And then when it was time to meet everyone for the ceremony, we had to have a talking circle. I loved this concept of having the talking circle because it really allowed each person, when they got the talking stick, to speak their truth and be able to share their experience in a beautiful way. So that was really, really lovely to experience that, to sit back and listen and not feel like you have to overpower or say something over other people. So I loved all of that, the native rituals, and her explaining again why we do that. It's a sacred space. We're doing something very sacred. This is an indigenous medicine. This is literally working with your ancestors, transcending through the worlds and reaching these high levels of intelligence and beauty. That was my experience. But for a lot of people, it's a really dark place and they have to go through a lot of struggle. And yeah, so let's get back to the ceremony. It's time for that. We're having that going on and setting the tone for it. And then, doing our talking circle. She's explaining the process for everything. Then we all go up for the actual ceremony. And during that process, it's like she is also guiding us. She's letting us know what to look out for when other people pour these ceremonies, because apparently there's a whole dark side to this. And I'm going to get into that later, on why I feel so called to expose this and stuff, because I've seen my friends, I've heard these horror stories. I'm researching more about it. And it's just like people have abused this medicine that's so powerful. And I hate that. So I want to be on the side of light and I want to expose that. And so now we're working on a documentary and it's pretty dope. And I'm really excited about that because I feel very passionate. I feel called. I feel like I'm here to help with this. And I got so much footage on our trip that you know, it's it's amazing the way the universe works and how it connects people and how you start these relationships. And I'm asking for the guides and teachers, and I'm literally getting the best people to help me on this journey and to guide me on this path, which has been incredible. So now it's time for the ceremony. We sit with the medicine, we drink it, and we also take some pills too. And why she does that is like the medicine, the ayahuasca is in the pills, so then you don't purge as much, or if at all. I didn't purge at all. I had no crazy incidents of like needing to use the bathroom or anything like that. And it is because she guided us with like the fasting and knowing when to stop eating. And, that is something I really felt, that she guided us very properly on, because I did not have any bad experience like that. So we sat with the medicine, we prayed on it, we drank it, and then she plays some music, and at the same time, she's doing some musical instruments. She's starting to sing, and it's a really quite beautiful. Like it's a very soft uh, ascend to the sky, like you're taking off, but it's very, very smooth, and like you're starting to feel the hallucinogenic effects. So, how I started knowing it was kicking in was when my body was starting to feel really good. And I just started having a big smile on my face. And I started looking at her art all around, and I was seeing, the different vibrations. And I was like, okay, I know this feeling. It's similar to when I was on mushrooms. And it's just like a really nice state of bliss. And then I just wanted to lay down, and I lay down on the sofa, and still with a huge smile on my face, I just started going into my journey. And when I say that was one of the most beautiful, if not probably the most beautiful experience I have ever had. I went to different worlds. She first journeyed us going into the underworld. And initially, I was down there and I saw a lot of snakes, but I wasn't afraid of the snakes. I was just like, they're doing their thing. They're not bothering me. Like, let them do their thing. And snakes are cool let them do their thing. I'm not messing with them. So that was really cool to experience that. Usually in that underworld, that's where a lot of subconscious stuff and trauma is stored. So it's on a deep subconscious level. And I think a lot of people have experiences with that where it is harder, where they, have to sit with a lot of the evil and the bad feelings and stuff we don't want to think about. So luckily for me, it was just snakes, and I just kind of let them be. And then the next journey up is into the middle world. That's where you're reunited with your family, ancestors. And I saw my family all sitting by like a campfire type of thing. And they're just vibing, and they're having a good time, and they're smiling, and there's love and peace and no animosity. It's all pure love. And I saw my dad there, and it wasn't even like this big grand, like, I'm crying or anything. It was just like a homecoming. Like I'm just there, and I'm like reunited with everyone, and I'm smiling, and I see his smile, and I'm realizing that I have his same smile. So that was really like how I feel like he lives on through that energy, and I bring that joy, that same kind of serendipity type of feeling to everyone I meet. And that was his vibe. Well, he gave everyone a good time, and he knew how to joke, and he knew how to have fun. And, I think seeing him in that was really beautiful. I saw my cousin that passed away, both cousins, brother and sister that passed away, and he had his arm around her, and they're just happy. And I saw my uncle, and then a lot of people that I didn't recognize, but I knew was probably family because I haven't met a lot of my family that's passed away. But it was a lot of people, and it was like a very tribal, like dancing and fun. And my grandmother's dancing and shaking her hips, and she's the one on my dad's side with like more of just this really like body type energy, and like moving the body and shaking. And she had the hips, and that's where we get a lot of our curves and stuff, is from my dad's side, of just like these full-bodied women that like just owned their bodies. So I love that. um and it was just really wholesome and beautiful. And then once that it was done, then I kind of transcended into the next level. And that's where like visions, beauty, these very beautiful artistic paintings, and just so much good energy, like floating through different things, like floating through different experiences. And it literally was like I could just tap into a moment and like see someone and see this beautiful um experience with them, which was really, 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 really nice. Because you could just really have that full on experience. And I'm gonna get into it. I'm pulling up my phone because I wrote down notes of everything that I experienced on my journey. So let's see. Let's do one note I did right. I'm realizing the magnitude of this work. That was before the ceremony that I had that thought. And here are my thoughts on the way to the journey was sitting in the train and Uber feeling sick. It was overcast, darker energy, melancholy. The AC driver, male, nice, but I still felt uncomfortable, eerie feelings surfacing, smell of BO and old car. So yeah, that was like pre-ceremony. And then now I'm going to read a couple of my notes from my experience of doing ayahuasca. So the major, major thing that I took away was that I am divine light from divine source. I just kept seeing and feeling so much pure light, pure energy, pure love. And that was so divine. Another major thing that kept coming to me when I'm sitting there smiling for hours on end is that my head is a beautiful place to be. Like my thoughts, my visions, it's beautiful. And not to say like I don't have bad thoughts, but like when I was in that state, when you're in that state of consciousness, my head was in a beautiful place to be. I wish I could record it, how beautiful. Um, I'm here to spread love and oneness in the world. And another thing that kept coming to me was there's so much beauty in all the layers of natural sounds around me. So, really, just like it made me hyper aware of sounds outside that like are very hard to pick up, but like I felt the layers of it, which was really beautiful. My grandmother on my mom's side showed me she wanted to be creative, but chose death ultimately, so she could escape and be free. And freedom is everything. So it's this whole feeling of the women in my ancestry line that have been forced to have children and take care of them, and they haven't been able to go after their goals and go after what they want because they sacrificed. And I see this repeated with my mom, and I see it with my sisters. Um, Even though they're doing what they can, like they are going after their stuff, there's still this different energy behind it, and how I'm kind of the cycle breaker of this because I have no kids, I have no husband, I have no man right now. It is just me and I'm in complete freedom. So freedom is everything. And not to say that I don't want it. Like I do want a future with someone that can support me and be that divine love, but I also know that like I don't have to sacrifice who I am to get that. So yeah, I felt full body downloads. It felt like I was seeing computer simulation of information being programmed into me. And it's a very weird thing to explain, but I could see like the download of information coming, and it was almost like it's like uploading. And I do a lot of stuff with my work with like downloading and uploading files. So it felt like all these files and downloads were coming to me in a beautiful way. Um, and I felt like my body was getting upgraded. I felt my muscles getting stronger. I felt like hyper awareness and sensitivities, mega upgrades, new information being programmed into me, almost like you're like getting this full system download, upload, and for your mind, your body, and your spirit. So it was just like all happening at once and very beautiful. I started seeing fractals, the most beautiful visuals that I really want to get back to painting and drawing and getting that more creative side out. That's been really suppressed the last few years. So I'm feeling really guided to get back into that. Um, this really wholesome feeling of feeling so safe and protected by Mama Gaia. Like you feel like supported, nurturing energy that is better than anyone or anything holding you. Like it's such a secure, beautiful place. And then suddenly I started releasing a lot of stuff with like my own mom and having a lot of resentment and anger towards her because she wasn't really the caring, she did what she could, which was to cook and take care of us. And she did what she did as a mom, what she knew how to do, but was it this beautiful, nurturing, someone that could support me on my creative path? No, because she had to take care of five damn kids, and I see it now. So it definitely helped me shift my perspective. So another thing that came up is that I have so much healing in me. I'm meant to coach and help others, so that makes sense with this path that I'm on, making art, making clothes, doing branding. I just have this creative mind that is ready to dive in to multiple things. I'm ready to really step into anything creative and just pour my energy into that. Um, my artistic nature, I'm meant to do art in all the forms. With my last ex, Matthew, I did see us reconnecting on this higher timeline, and I was just sending him so much love and seeing our relationship that was so beautiful and divine on the other side, but that he's essentially still lost right now in the 3D. And I just kept sending him love, and I could see his 5D self that is so beautiful, kind, loving, that he's a coach and a teacher. And it's like that is what I understood, is what I saw when I met him. And that vision of us is what pulled us together. And I think because, when you're on this ascension journey, the shadow work is sitting with yourself, sitting with your self worth. And me being a trigger for him, of him looking at his self worth, he's still in that. Whereas I'm like ascending ahead and further. That's essentially why the relationship had to end. But it was beautiful to reconnect with him and have that experience, which was nice. I was feeling really good in my body, very sexy, feeling like my hip bones, and understanding that the right man will cherish my whole body, but I have to cherish it first and really feel into myself. Um, just a lot of that going. This was a fun one. I was going into all of my bank accounts, and it felt like freaking when you go to um what's the one, casinos in Las Vegas. It felt like all those noises, like you hear the ding 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 ding. Like I saw all of that, and I was just blessing my bank accounts, and I was like, oh, I have all this vortex of money, and the money's there, and I'm just blessing it, and I'm just putting that good energy into my bank accounts, and it's feeling very good. And we have all this money, but we just have to do the work of the meditation to feel that abundance in different ways to link up to that. So the money is there, the money is always there. My businesses are all about to up level in so many ways because this is my freaking system reset. That's what I feel like ayahuasca did for me. And I want to say this main point too is like why I had such a good journey is because I've been doing freaking 8 to 9 years of solid ass work on myself, because I practically practice these things daily. I do breath work, I do meditation, I do grounding, I do grounding. I ground every day. I practice gratitude. I do these things. And I think because of that, because it's so innate in me and I'm practicing it, my journey went way to the sky. And I got all the messages that I needed with that, which was beautiful. Um, Another thing that was interesting, I did have a feeling of having this moment of like sitting with myself and understanding that I love a man to go to work, and I love a man to come home from work, and I love to like cook and provide that beautiful experience, that home. Like that's just innately in me. But I want to definitely do that with the right man. Um, Another thing that was really wild is seeing my hands because your perception of everything changes. So I would see my hands and they would look so delicate and beautiful and tiny and just like this really beautiful thing. But then I would zoom in and I would see an old man's hand. And I want to say this was like my hand from, a past life. It looked like I worked with my hands and there was calluses and then I would see that it was my hands were worn out and tired. And then my hands would start crying. And then with my other hand, I would like wipe away the tears and I would just say all this beautiful affirmations to my hand. And then suddenly the frown that was within the hand line would turn into a smile. The frown would just turn back up and it was so beautiful. I really loved that. It really made me understand that there's beauty in the sadness because after some time the frown went away and the smile came. And that's what I love about the duality of everything, the duality of experiencing the sadness, the hard times, and then feeling the upside of it as well. So beautiful. I definitely felt my heart chakra super expanding, really tapping into just this big openness that like I know I have a big heart. I know I love to help others, but this was like a whole other level, which is beautiful. And then so many amazing thoughts and ideas that were being shown to me, visuals, um, just so much. And that I had to almost like tell them, like, because once you're on this highest level, that's where you're tapped into other dimensions and angels and guides and that kind of stuff. So they started flooding me with so much information. And like that's also a reason why I stayed up so long was because I wanted to receive everything. But then at a certain point, it was so much that like had to tell them like, okay, guys, I need y'all to slow down. I need us to calm down, breathe, and just show me one thing at a time. So coming back to my breath and like reiterating that in my mindset with my guides to tell them like, I want all these uploads. I want the downloads. I want to be able to experience this, but I need us to do this very calmly because it gets very overwhelming for me. And so that was really beautiful to experience that as well, because I was just like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy for getting all these ideas and wanting to do all these creative things. It's just I need to be like mindful of it. So that was really, really beautiful in itself. Um, and then one of the last few things that I do remember, and I'm sure more is going to come unpacked as time goes on, was like being very in tune with my body, knowing the minute that I needed water, knowing that I had to go downstairs. And being on ayahuasca is a little bit like being drunk because you have your balance is off. So I needed to be guided to go downstairs. I needed to, let me see, I ordered food. Okay, I'm going to pause this real quick and I'll come back because I ordered food because I'm not cooking today. Sorry, I just ate. Hmm. Okay. All right. Sorry, I didn't eat anything all day, so I had to eat. But one thing that um, yeah, about the hyper awareness, it's like just getting really in tune with your body and knowing what it needs and to listen to it. So, like, I knew at one moment I needed to get water, and I just knew it, and I jumped up and I went downstairs. And I mean, I carefully went because by now, like the medicine's starting to wear off, so I have more control with movement and that kind of thing. So I get downstairs, I get some water, I look at the time on the clock on the oven, and it's my birthday. So I thought that was really fun, and I like giggled, and I was like, okay, I see you, universe, like showing me the signs that you're with me. And I just started laughing because I'm like, oh, I guess it's going to be like this, where like I start to pick up on stuff even more at a higher level. That's what it felt like. So eventually I went back upstairs and I um, went back into my bed and I just started getting more stuff, but like eventually my brain kind of just turned off and I know stuff was still working through while I was sleeping, but eventually I fell asleep and I just woke up and um I felt really good. Like I looked around, I started, seeing the light come in from the windows and that kind of stuff, and just really feeling so grateful and thankful for the whole experience and feeling so full. I think that's when I got my phone out and I started writing some notes because it's like I wasn't ready to journal, but I wanted to get the notes out so before I forgot. So that was really good to do. And then I recorded a little video where I wanted to give a testimonial for like how I was feeling the next day, just to give to Courtney, for her. Just like I really wanted to express how I was feeling and get like the raw emotions of that morning. So that was really, really good. And then, we're like waking up and getting back to life again. And it's a little different. Like you feel a little bit different. You feel like, okay, I'm coming back to earth. And it's a different feeling. Like you know where you went, you know that it's there, you know that that's always kind of with us, but like we're so sometimes um removed from it. So we can't really see it all the time like that clearly, where the veil is just so lifted and you can really understand the bigger points of life and like why we're here and what we're here to do. And just a very deep level of healing. And then once I saw the other men, it was really wild to see the radiance on their faces. Everyone's just like super high vibe and like, wow, we just started opening up to each other and like sharing our experience. And that was really profound too, to see what everyone went through. And it was beautiful. It was like we had this really sacred time together. And um, then Courtney came down and we, talked to her and expressed how we were feeling and stuff. And she's like, let's get some Italian food. Let's like treat ourselves. And, it felt really good to do because we also hadn't really ate in like fully in 2 days. So we go there and we have this beautiful lunch together. And then we have a plan to come back and do like a fire pit thing and just kind of hang out and chill for the night and decompress. And then some shit happens. And this is kind of the other side of ayahuasca, that it really brings things to surface. So something to really be aware about is like, one, you have to deal with your shit. You have to just see it. And even one experience I will talk about, I'll kind of backtrack about my ex-husband, because that was something I did want to kind of face and like let it go type of thing fully. And when I got pulled into his world, they started showing me like his life and his upbringing, and it was hard and he wasn't seen. And I started seeing everything and I was like, okay, I understand you went through all of that. But at a certain point, it's like I also saw like this time capsule, almost like a picture of me and him with the timeline of him. And I looked at it and I was like, I can let this go. Like, I don't have to keep replaying it in my head. I don't have to look into his life to understand him even deeper, because I know what it is. Like, I know that he's had a really rough upbringing with his parents and um like their whole dynamic, a lot of heavy shit. And when it got to a certain point, I was just like, okay, I'm done. And then I just zoomed out of it and I went like, that was it. It was literally as easy as like recognizing it, like, okay, we had a time together, we had a point in each other's lives, but I can leave it at that. I don't have to sit with it. I don't have to internalize it. I don't have to think that it was about me or anything. Like, we didn't work, it didn't work out. And we can honor that relationship for what it was. I mean, that was my first marriage. That was my first attempt at trying to be something I wasn't. And I think that's the realest thing that I took from that whole relationship is that I really need to be my own person. And I knew that while I was in that marriage is like, I know I'm meant for more. I know I'm not meant to just sit here and have kids and let like live in resentment, because that was a thought that kept coming up to me when I was 21, 22. It's like I didn't feel ready to take on a kid, and I knew if I did I would resent that child. And I knew it at that age, which is wild to like replay in my head. And then also now see the cycles with my grandmother, my mom, and seeing that like I got to stop that. I got to not have to like live that life, and I get to do what I want now, and I have complete freedom, and I live a very freaking blessed life that I'm grateful for every single day, that I feel when I walk into my living room and I see the water, when I can have a beautiful work day getting all this stuff done, and then I can go relax by the water and go into the hot tub and look at the boats going by. I live a very freaking privileged life, and I got to pick that for me, and I got to decide that I don't want to go down that path of living, conflicted in a marriage that didn't feel right, or living with a boyfriend that wasn't going to fully appreciate me because he didn't see his own value, and he didn't see that, you know, there was a point to it. He needs to do his own work, and it wasn't for me to fix. It wasn't for me to try to heal him. I wasn't going to take that on. That's another thing that came during my session with the ayahuasca is like when I was sitting by the fireside, I wanted to come to the campfire because I knew that Courtney was there with the other man. Because you can't leave people alone on ayahuasca, and she was doing very good with that, with like guiding and being there, being supportive, but not overbearing and that kind of thing. So she's with him, and I got asked to be, taken outside. And so I go outside, I'm sitting by the fire and I'm enjoying it, and I'm seeing the dance of the fire, which was really wild. Is like at first it was two flames like in competition, and one would want to be higher and the other one would want to be higher, and they're fighting. And I was like, oh my God, this is telling a story. Like two people are fighting, fighting, fighting. And then it was a competition. And then, but when they joined forces and they got together, it became even more powerful. They went in waves together. And I'm like sitting there still freaking smiling. My smile is so bright. And I'm just curled in my little chair, and I'm just like loving it. And then I look over and I see the man crying and going through these waves of emotions, which happens on ayahuasca. Like you're really tapped into these deep level emotions that have been stored there. So he's crying and covering his face, and I'm looking at him. And for a second, I was like, man, should I like go to try to help him? And then like something overtook me and was like, no, you live in your world and you focus on you and you be in your happiness. And I just went right back to my smile and just like hugging myself. And I was like, this is what I've needed to understand about myself is like, yeah, while on the one hand that I have so much healing and help that I can do, I cannot save everyone else. And it is not my job to save everyone else. And it's okay to not save everyone else. And I can live in my own peace and my own tranquility and live in my beautiful mind. And I can just leave it at that, man. And that was profound, because I feel like in past relationships, I have tried to fix others. I've tried to, fix the situation and make everything good. But like, nope, I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to do that in my last relationship with Matthew. I could just, when he said he can't go further and he can't do anymore and he's done, I was like, okay, I can respect that. I understand. Like I know what you're going through, and I'm not going to try to sit here and fix you. And honestly, that's a beautiful place to be, because I think that's our downfall, is when we're trying to fix others and, make them see their light. People have to learn this themselves. And this is another huge thing that I've learned with working with Courtney and being on my own journey with my own spiritual path, is how I've had to cultivate a very secure relationship with myself that I feel okay in my own presence, that I don't feel like I need to have others validate me and give me the confidence that I need, that I have that I'm a freaking dope ass person and people love to be around me and my energy is exclusive. I give it to whoever I feel like I want to be around and it's okay. And I get to live this life where I get to choose my freedom, my path, and what I want to go after. And I think that's a good place to wrap up this episode. If you made it this far, thank you for listening to my journey. And, if you are thinking about plant medicine, if you are wanting to open that up, I would say do your research. I'm going to do a separate video on like just explaining the do's and don'ts of what I learned on booking a retreat. And then um, just some more informational videos because I am starting to work on this documentary with a dope ass team. I'm probably going to Brazil and I'm going to be working on this with Courtney and Jose and just this. He's an amazing filmmaker in Brazil. And I'm just tapping into this different life that I feel is so what I'm supposed to be a part of. And so you'll start to see more information about that. I will be dropping all the details. If you are ready for a retreat and you're wanting to dive in, I highly, highly, highly recommend working with Courtney now because things are going to change where it's not going to be that exclusive to get access to her. And I'm doing retreats with her. Like I want to do retreats with her. I want to cultivate this space and bring in people. So if you are thinking about doing something like this, reach out to me, send me a DM, send me an email, figure it out. If you have been on this path of healing, you've been working on yourself, you've been doing the things you need to do, have been just on it and you're ready to just take things to another level and you're ready to face everything the way it is, you're ready to see it all and you're not scared of it, reach out to me. Let's talk. I want to help you through this process. And then I will give you information to Courtney and booking a retreat with her. She has, I think, one upcoming in September in Long Island. And honestly, it was really easy to that whole process to jump on a plane, go from JFK to the train to her, like right near her house and then just take a Uber to her house. It was like very easy and not anything complicated. Very, very easy to be honest. And just an experience in itself. So she has one there, and then she also has another retreat in New Mexico. I'm not going to be able to make it to either of these two retreats because I have conflicting schedules with my some weddings going on and traveling. So it's not going to work out for that. But if I do plan to host a retreat with her, I will talk about it on my podcast. I will promote it. And honestly, why I want to reiterate all of this is because being in the South Asian collective, I don't feel like people really talk about this stuff. Like I think it's starting to come out about mental health and all these things. They're starting to, but honestly, it's a pretty taboo subject. People just want you to erase your trauma and forget about it. And we deal with a lot of ancestral bullshit, a lot of baggage, a lot of weight, a lot of heavy shit that we carry with us without even knowing. So, like, and I have not met a family where there isn't some pile of shit with it. Honestly, everyone is going through some level of healing and um having been exposed to traumas at a young age, whether it's I mean, for me specifically, I remember being very young and seeing my dad and my brother when I think they had found my brother with some drugs when he was maybe 15 or 16 and my dad kicked him out and that was a very like really hard time for me because I really, that was a brother I was really connected with. He really loved like he still loves me, but he really showered me with a lot of love and took care of me. And, having that moment of like our dad coming back and being like, you only have one brother, that's pretty traumatic as a kid, like that kind of experience, going through divorce. There is just a long standing thing of just shit we have to, or we've had to experience. And I want you to know that, like, dealing with your trauma and processing it in healthy ways and releasing those feelings, like even the way I had to do with my marriage when I saw that come up. And I was like, you know what? I don't have to sit with this anymore. I can let it go. Like, that is so much peace. That is so much freedom because you are really claiming your life back. You're claiming what you let affect you. And for me, I'm no longer letting that divorce affect me. That divorce made me the strongest woman that I know, um, that I could possibly be. I catapulted into my business. I started figuring out ways to make money and take care of myself and get the empowerment, and like, look at that. Look at how I'm able to cultivate this life where I am living where I want to live by the beach, where I do want to do what I want to do, and where I do want to do what I want to do. That sounds like a rap. Um, just amazing, amazing, amazing stuff, man. Like, just amazing. So if you're feeling called, I would say just reach out first. Don't like book anything just yet. You really want to see if you're a good fit for this before you dive in. You want to see kind of the mental state you're in. What are your goals with it? What are you trying to release and let go? So kind of just talk to me about it, and we can figure out if this is something that you should maybe think about. And honestly, there are a ton of retreats out there. There's stuff in Costa Rica. There's all these fancy schmancy things where you get massages and all this. For me personally, I loved this experience with it being tight knit, with it feeling more at home. It just felt really right for me. And keeping it very close knit, not having a ton of people there, that really resonated with me. So I would love to talk to you more about this if you feel like this is something you're being called to explore. But initially, I would just say don't jump on anything, let it marinate. The thing again with ayahuasca is you will feel the call. You will know when it's time. And if you're forcing something, that's not the vibe. If you're like, yeah, yeah, I want to do this because she did it and look how amazing she is, you're not going to get the same experience as me. That's just flat out what's going to happen. You will get a totally different experience because it's specific to everyone. And not to say it won't be amazing. You might have an incredible, you might even have something even better than what I had. But your experience is your experience. So the main thing now is just like, if you're wanting to explore that, start doing your work. Start working on your modalities to calm you down, calm your nervous system, meditate. And if you need help with that, I'm going to be launching a dope ass program where I'm teaching this. And I just feel like so many people need to find balance in their life. And I love helping people do that. And I am going to be partnering with Courtney on a special project where we do more high level coaching. Um, the other thing I will touch on, and maybe I'm going to do a separate episode about this, is life after ayahuasca for me, because it's a whole new ball game. Your girl, these downloads, these programs, these whatever was installing in my brain and body, I am on a whole new level of productivity. I am getting things done. I am focused. I am figuring out things very easily. I'm able to compartmentalize what I need to do in my head and then get that out in my work. Things are just flowing to me. And that's what happens is when you start implementing. Courtney has a program called the Four Keys. And this is something that I'm just religiously doing since being exposed to it. When you get tapped into this Four Keys program and you start honoring what you need to do spiritually, physically, emotionally, all these different ways, you get tapped into the force. So you literally get this amazing program to really become more productive. Like, I think she said it's like you become 100 to 400 times more productive. And I'm someone that has a million ideas. I'm running three different businesses. I got a lot going on. And a lot of times I can be stuck in my head and then I don't want to do shit. So since coming home, I'm still doing my work. I'm doing my 4 keys. I'm tending to myself, but your girl is a whole new level of productive. And I have a new creative energy in me. I launched my mini shoots next week that I'm going to just freaking go crazy with because my creative eye is just on burst and I'm just ready to create. I got weddings coming up. I'm traveling. I have another retreat. Life is just so full and it can be full. It can feel good. And honestly, through my whole productivity is like I'm getting shit done left and right. I'm all in it. I'm in the flow of it, but it feels effortless. It's like for the first time in my life, I'm like, oh my God, I'm really getting shit done on a whole new level. And I don't have to force it. And I'm not trying to make myself do things when I'm not feeling right. It's like, no, you're on the right path. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I'll dive into that in my next episode because I think that's really, 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 really key for you guys to understand. So thank you for tuning in on this episode. I hope, I hope that you learned a lot about my experience. Again, this is like the disclaimer. I'm not condoning that you have to do anything. You do not have to do a single thing. You can continue to learn practices and do things to help regulate your nervous system, and that can get you into the flow state naturally through breath work. There's ways to do it without ayahuasca and plant medicine. But if you are looking for that extra boost and you're feeling called to it, reach out to me, talk to me, and let's like figure out a game plan because Courtney and I are about to do some big shit together and it's about to really take off. And I feel that with every bone in my body. And I know that because I saw everything play out. I saw this beautiful future of where we're headed with things. And we are all called on this path to spread light and love and really push ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves like out there. We need to push love and light. That the world is a scary place. There's a lot of shit going down and it's going to get weirder and that's what it is, but we can step into our power when we fully trust and surrender. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please leave any comments and reach out to me if you have any questions about ayahuasca. I will also send you any links if you want to work with Courtney personally for a journey. I'm telling you, she is so educated, she's like the best teacher, and we have such a good understanding, and you're about to see a lot more of us. So take care. Have a good rest of your day or night. Thanks for joining, and I will see you on the next episode.